Hello and welcome to Season 2 of Desire Dilemma, a podcast that amplifies immigrant voices in America. I'm Funmi Apantaku-Onayemi, your host. Antonine Augustin left her country of Haiti at a young age. She remembers her pride in her country, good schools, carnivals, respect for elders, and the rich traditions that upheld her country. Those rich traditions instill the pride she has in herself and in her country to this day. Antonine also remembers respect for the country's flag and the insistence to speak French instead of the native Haitian Creole in her schools. The Haiti she came from was not what was poorly portrayed in America when she arrived. Currently, Haiti is a country of almost 12 million people. It is south of the Bahamas and east of Jamaica. With long-running crises and disasters, it is not surprising that more than 1 million Haitians call America home. Our guest today, Antonine Augustin, has endured a difficult adjustment to America. She has made America home. Good afternoon, Tina. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. It's beautiful in my little city or my little village of Crete around the Chicago area, and I'm sure it's beautiful and even much more spectacular in Florida. How is it for you over there?
Yes, ma'am. It's beautiful. It's Florida. It's sunny. It's just blue skies.
You know, I've always said my retirement dream is to actually live by the ocean in Florida. But you know what? I'm always scared of your hurricanes and everything. I like to come when you guys are just in that regular weather. Because in the Midwest, we don't get all of that as much. But I'm sure you've been there for a while and you've survived this long. So we thank God for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So thank you for being on the Desire Dilemma podcast. People come to the US, right? And
Yes.
they have this vision of a beautiful country. And they
Yes.
come with such excitement and they just want to grab America by the arms, right? And do the best and accomplish the most. But you came when you were young from Haiti.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
First of all, tell me about Haiti. I've never been there. I would love to. But tell me about your country, not as it is now, but as Haiti was before you came to the US.
My memory of Haiti was a little restricted only because I was in a pension. That's what we call it, pension, which is like when our families travel abroad and they have a place where, you know, it's almost like having a boarding school, but it's not really a boarding school nanny kind of thing. So it was a very restricted view. But what I remember the most is pretty much I went to a Catholic school where I pretty much used to, I wear my uniform and the uniform almost has to be perfect. I remember pretty much going to school, and I also remember the fact that in school it was in all French. It was mainly in all French school. We were not allowed to speak Creole or anything. All of our languages had to be, you know, and we had to speak French. I would get in trouble for actually speaking the language. It was a pretty strict academic environment, I remember. And some of my fondest memories was pretty much in school as well. I mean, also we used to have parades. I remember the pride of the country that was instilled in us. The flag was always a big deal. I mean, there was no, you don't disrespect the flag. I remember the entire town pretty much having, the parade was pretty much how we communicate, because the parades were, like, for example, every Sunday we would have a parade. All children would pretty much go to school and, go to church with a cathedral and pretty much parade. What I remember the most is just the pride that was instilled in us. As far as the country itself, I mean, we were doing Duvalier at the time. Duvalier was the dictator at the time. I'm not comparing, I'm not even going to get into the politics or whatever, but I did not see Haiti as, the way I see it. When I came here, the pictures, what was being portrayed and everything, it was really different for me, because there, I did not see what I see here. I see a very negative view of Haiti. But when I was there, even though I did have a limited experience, I have to say that, overall, as far as the school itself, and I was always excelling. I excel in school, especially in mathematics. That was always number one, just for me. So yeah, those are the memories. Definitely remember the carnivals, the culture. They really uphold the culture. There were a lot of children have respect for parents, and we did not have a choice not to respect our parents. But I'm gonna stop rumbling on. If you
oh no, you know the beauty of what you've done is to actually describe my childhood. Also in Nigeria, where we weren't allowed to speak our own native language, where everything was strict and we had to do well in school, and we didn't see anything wrong with our government at the time. Actually, I thought, oh my gosh, everything was so bubbly for me as a child. That's what you just described. So as I was listening to you, I said, yeah, that's really, I could just take that and say, okay, I came from Haiti too. Because that's for real, even though, of course, we speak English. That's really what I was listening to, like, wow, isn't that interesting that we have that common thread? Here you are in the Caribbean. I came from Nigeria, and now I'm hearing you say we actually shared virtually the same backgrounds, So you were there, and everything, as far as you were concerned, you were doing well in school, all was good, nothing was wrong with your government and the leaders in your country, but you had to leave. You came to the US. What prompted that decision? I know you didn't make that, you were young, but did anyone tell you how that decision came about?
I guess I have to kind of talk about what prompted me. There were quite a few things, like many others whose parents migrated abroad at a young age. I was left, we were pretty much left to fend for ourselves at a young age. Not financially. Financially, we were being taken care of. But being the eldest of three at a time, we were like 8, 6, and 4. So we were left with the persons were strangers, not abusive, but they were strangers to us. We go to school. We had like really a robotic life. We go to school, we come back, we do our homework, and it was just that routine that we had. At a young age, we were pretty much parentless. We didn't have anyone because of our mother has migrated to Nassau, where she has 2 other children. So anyway, to make the long story short, shortly after, there was no emotional connection between the house parents and us. So anyway, our aunties actually moved from one place to the other, and from Dondon at the time to Cap Haitian. And then, of course, a decision was made for us to move from this family to their house. And the rest is history. I'm not going to, get into it. But the environment went from a co-environment to a very dysfunctional at best. So we endured a lot of experiences as adolescents that we should not have endured. I tried my very best to protect my siblings. But anyway, to make the long story short, as far as what led me to here, I was always, my mom, the only thing I knew about my mom is that she was providing. She was sending money and we were being taken care of. So already I attached money to the United States, number one. And, everyone talks about how wonderful. I've never heard anything bad about the United States, except everything was perfect. People were rich there. I even think, as far as people think that, it was about white people, it was about money and wealth and everything. For me, it really was about survival, because we just needed to leave. So eventually, my mom, I have to also say that my highlight, in Haiti is the fact that my dad finally found me, because I was his child. The only child that belongs to him, and he asked to actually spend a summer, and I ended up actually spending a year with him, and that was the highlight of my life as far as that concerned. So I was there. Supposedly, my mom, they were looking for me, but I was there. I was safe. This is the very first time I knew love. I know that as a child that I was loved. My dad, even though he had his life, he used to drive. He has businesses, but he took me everywhere that he went. And once I was found, of course, I was forced to go back to, that place again. And then it was really about survival at the time. That was the last time I saw my dad. I remember my dad being very angry when they took me away from him. And that was the last time I saw him. So all I remember is pretty much I sent him a letter. It came back. And there was a phone call we received. And they pretty much said that my dad died like months ago. So that was pretty much the last time I saw him. So as all of that stuff is going on, and I was 11 that was my between child 11. So finally my mom sent for us, and of course I was really excited for so many reasons. I'm coming to a rich wonderful rich place, so I was coming to the United States. It was a big deal, my goodness. So I know at the time it was Air Florida that we actually came on. So that's how I ended up here.
So you now, first of all, I'm sorry to hear that at the time you lost your dad, but I'm so glad that you had the opportunity to spend some time with him to feel the love, you know? That's always wonderful when we have someone we can say, at least we felt some love from. I'm so happy that you experienced that.
I think my self-esteem was built from that 1 year. So,
Wow.
yes.
Well, so now you're in the United States and you are with your mom and you are with your siblings and you felt like you came to the richest country in the world where the roads are paved in gold, right? So let's take it from there. So now you're here. How was your adjustment?
Oh boy. Upon the arrival of schools in the US, of course, the milk of honey turned sour. At home, I realized that my mom was not rich. She was she was really working as a maid and other jobs. And of course, she's a woman that also does her little business and everything. She was really working really hard. So she did not, again, so we coming from that environment, she didn't really have the time to really do the motherly things. Love was not a thing. Hugs was not a thing. So I quickly hated home. And then at school, boy, when I was out of school, it was definitely a culture shock because it was not what I thought it was. The population was African American, and that was it. So at school, I constantly was being confronted by what I call angry African American mobs at the time, calling me names, physically attacking me. In the early 80s, there was a thing that, I mean, I don't blame them because that's what they probably is. It was because of the negative representation of Haiti. So I was being called stink. They were physically attacked me. That I did voodoo. And the words that can always go back, you go back to your country where you come from, go back to Haiti. And of course, as I shared with you earlier, I cannot even talk about Fed Eugene because Fed Eugene, one of the students, I think that we created a little secret place at school because I actually was in the choir. And that was the only place that actually that was functional because the whole school was dysfunctional. Even the coaches were on it. The teachers would call you names as well. So in that class, Fed Eugene, like the Americans, those were very nice people. Fed Eugene was one of them that I thought. So I never... as far as I'm concerned, he was an American, just like one of them. He didn't have an accent or anything. But I'll tell you that Fed Eugene became my friend and, ended up committing suicide. Whenever I think of him, no one never told me that the corpse were cold. But when I went to his funeral, that is the first time I actually kissed a corpse. And he wasn't Fed Eugene, he was a corpse at the time. After he killed himself, that's when the cultural awareness was become a big thing where, they wanted to educate everyone about culture, how to respect cultures and everything. So it was pretty rough, I have to say. I of course, having not have such a close-knit home life and being in that. So I have to say it wasn't, I really had to find my way. Being the eldest, I was lost because although the only thing that gets me is the fact I was quote unquote smart because I had such a, high mathematics, so everywhere. So that's pretty much, even though I was picked on, but that's one of the things that, she's smart. She's Haitian, but she's smart.
She's smart. And you probably had some friends because of that. I need you to do me a favor, please. You kept talking about Mr. Eugene. Enlighten us about him.
Well, he was a friend in the school. That's safe haven. If I say I had a safe haven, it was in the choir with all these. I remember all of these people in the choir because that was safe haven. That was the only place that because my teacher Mr. Ellis was not going to allow anybody to disrespect anyone. So that was the only place that was my safe haven. So therefore, I knew everybody in the class. So we become like a family because that was 4 years of choir. So we love each other. We care about each other, and we sing together. So Fed Eugene happened to be one of those people that was Haitian, but nobody knew that he was Haitian. If you Google him, you're gonna find that he was the one that ended up, I think he was working, and his Haitian mom went to his job, and that was the first time his girlfriend and everybody realized that he was Haitian, and so he was so embarrassed he couldn't bear the shame, so he ended up taking his own life. So that was the decisive time where people were like, okay, so maybe we should teach people, to kids how to get along, and we should teach them, not because it was a battlefield at that school. I'm telling you, they were just so mean, and no adults stopped them from being so mean to us. And it wasn't just me. Everyone at that time in the 80s, early 80s would pretty much have the same story at that school, because we had to really unite and really like be each other's keeper. Like when we get jumped, we had to help each other through it. So it was like, again, we had to be close, because it was really mean. It was a very it was bad.
So I think one of the things I'm getting is that now you are in the United States, being the oldest of all the siblings, and you came expecting one thing, and of course it wasn't as you saw it, as you thought about it from Haiti. You've been in this country, and you are very proud of the fact that at least you're smart, and that helped you along. Gave you a little bit of leeway, better than others. But this is America, in which people are being challenged one way or the other. Apart from the racial discrimination, what challenged you the most looking back? So we've talked about racism, of course. Now let's talk about personally, what challenged you the most, and what did you have to overcome?
I mean, up to a young age, I've always, I guess I was really resilient, and also my faith has always been there. Even when I was, one of the verse that I memorized and I used to do over is like Psalm 13. So my faith definitely was very instrumental in helping me to stay strong. And also, I mean, there were a lot of opportunities as well. So I focused on the positive, because I did not have the luxury of focusing on all of the bad things that were happening or what happened. I focused on the positive. I looked to see what I can do with the positive, how I can, I have my education was instilled. Education was always like very, very important. So it wasn't a choice whether to just not go to school, not get a degree, not go to college. It was something that was going to happen. So I never feel like I had a choice to fail. I feel like I had to represent, as the eldest, I had to be the oldest child. I had to represent my mother. I had to represent my country. I had to represent my race. I've always felt like I did not exist alone. I have people that I needed to, I don't know, for some reason, I felt like I was a trailblazer. I had to trailblaze. I had to continue in order for me to turn around and help somebody else. And I think that was the main reason why I became an educator, because really I could have done a lot of things in my life. I'm the only educator in my family. Everybody else is in the corporate world. They're feds. They're doing, and I'm not doing bad, but they're doing better, because again, we know that education is not, a money-making thing, but it's just impact. I just continue to just focus on what I can do instead of what I can get or, what happened to me. And I think that regardless how my culture has instilled this sense that you do not stand alone, you represent people and you don't want to let them down. And I did not want to let anybody down. I didn't want to let my mom down. I didn't want to let my dad die, even though he was dead. I didn't want to let God down. I didn't want to let, for my life, it's always been like I had to make the best out of what I had. So I believe that's what really keeps me going.
Yeah, so you've led a life of service. I think when people come to America, they have to think of America as a country in which you actually are here to give, to contribute. That is really what I think helps us to move forward. One thing, though, that's I believe we discussed the fact that when we look back, what did we lose? What have you lost coming out of it?
I'm raising children with no culture. I think that's the biggest loss for me is when I look at my children, even though they did not go through half of the things that I've gone through, but yet the resiliency and the fact that they feel like they stand alone. Like, don't get me wrong, my children are awesome. I have great children. I have 3 and very, very smart kid, very, very smart. They all are, 2 of them are pretty much on their own. But I think that the sense of pride, because for one thing that we were taught is pride in country. So that makes you that makes you think about you as a citizen, that it's, when you look at the Haitian flag, even the meaning of the red, that l'union fait la force, which means that strength, all of those things, it stays with you. No matter where you go, you take it with you. So that's something that there's never been instilled in children that is raised here. They lack culture. They feel like I can do whatever I can do. I never in my life feel like I can do whatever I can do. I've always had responsibilities to making sure that I make the best out of myself. And I don't see that in the kids, no matter how much we pour in them. It is as if you didn't do anything, and there's the entitlement, and you're doing this because you're supposed to, and there's no gratefulness. And so I would say that the biggest loss is the culture, and then you see them having that mental illness and everything. We did not have the luxury. Not that, don't get me wrong, the mental illness is a real thing, but I also think that again, the sense of you do not exist on your own. You coexist with people. You have responsibility to your parents for having bringing you here. You have the responsibility to the United States because look, you have opportunities here that regardless of what's happening, yes, they're flawed, but you have responsibility to being a Christian. Like I said, when I see myself as, yes, I am a human being. I am an African American. I am a mentor. I'm a teacher. I'm so many things. I'm a mother. I'm a child of God. And all of those things I owe. There's certain things that I have to do in order to build them up. And failing is not an option. I cannot make excuses for failure. Even though I have I don't think there's very few people that have as much. I have a lot of reason to fail, but it's not a choice.
Yeah, that's true for a lot of those who've done well. But when you come here and you feel as if, because I'm knocked down one time, I'm done, then that's an unfortunate place to be. But so that's one thing when you talk about what have we lost, what price have we paid for being in America? What do you appreciate about America, though?
As I said before, America has not given me anything that I haven't earned, that I couldn't be in any other country and still contribute, because I'm grateful that there's opportunities, that I was able to go to school and paid for it and everything else. But I also feel like if I did not do what I had to do, I would not. And I just feel like I said, America has not given me anything that I did not, it was for a price. But at the same time, yes, there were those opportunities. As long as you were informed and you did what you had to do, you pay the price and you get, certain things. But it also giving me a home, because right now, this is my home. There's no, I have nowhere to go right now. And it's a sad thing, but this is my country now. So it gives me a home, and this is the place where I grew up. I raised 3 children, and who are successful. And so I am grateful to America, because it is my home.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tina. But I would like to say 2 things that I picked from you. And I think this will also help those who are new coming in. The fact that you were able to come, the fact that you had the resiliency to keep moving on and moving on. And then you had and you still have that sense of pride. If I don't know anything about Black people in the world, I know that we do have that sense of pride, especially those of us who came to this country from somewhere else. So I'm so happy that, because by you saying this, you're telling us that we've got to hold on. You're also telling us that we cannot forget where we came from, that we came from the land of plenty for some of us, and that we came from the land in which we had the pride, and we still have that in us to continue to face our challenges in the US, knowing that one day we're going to do well. And for you, you've done well. For you, you've been, first of all, the math guru that has done a lot with math, and you've been able to teach, you've been able to influence so many kids, and of course, so many people. I'm sure many of them adults now.
Yes.
So I thank you for your story. I thank you for your time, and I'm very proud that you still have the pride in you. And you know what? Whether you like it or not, as much as we talk about children, they see us, they see what we put in the world. And let me tell you, in another few years, you look back and say, is that me? Because they'll be looking at you and say, so they saw everything that I did. They saw me, even though they didn't let me know, but they saw my contributions to their lives. So I thank you so much for sharing your story and coming on Desire Dilemma podcast. I really appreciate your time. And have a beautiful time in Florida.
You too.
Take care now. All right. Bye-bye. To our audience, Thank you for listening to our podcast on immigrants' desires to come to America and their dilemmas while staying in America. We hope this episode has been helpful and informative. Remember, adapting to a new culture can be difficult. With the right guidance and support, it is possible. We want you to share our podcast. We also want you to call us or go on our website, desireddilemma.com, for more episodes. Thank you so much for being with us today and have a wonderful rest of your day.